All right, welcome everyone, September 19th, Board of Health meeting is now in session. Just to remind everyone that this meeting is being audio and visually recorded. Are there any comments from the public on any issue item that's not on the agenda? Very quite good. Approval of the minutes.
Should we have
Attendance, we're all here.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right, I just didn't know. if that-
No, we have to do that if someone's on Zoom.
Okay,
There is a quorum present, the entire board is present. But when on Zoom, then we have to, it's different rules. So we have minutes from August 18th. Do we have any questions, suggestions, alterations?
take a motion to accept it.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Chairman says aye, the meetings are approved. We will continue the public hearing on Board of Health Regulations, Chapter 303, Nantucket Harbor Watershed District, Article 4, tight tank policy. So this hearing was never closed, so we will continue it. We had some questions at the last meeting about this. Give me a second. Okay, Rocky, John.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah.
So the town council has reviewed the version that you have in front of you that was included in the packet and cleared it from a legal perspective. And John has reviewed as well and has, I guess, some minor edits and something for the board to consider. So I'll let John jump in here.
Sure. Minor edits that I have are actually at the last section when it comes to violations and penalties. It's really kind of some clean up language. First, I was going to propose, it says Board of Health may punish any person or entity that violates these regulations by assessing a penalty of, I think the packet is $500. They'd like to align that, make that $300, so it's aligned with the Article 2 of the town code, so there's no conflicting.
So what we have in front of us says 3.
It says 3.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a 500.
Yeah, because I know we had discussion before about
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, okay, make sure both is 300. And then at the very bottom, the last one, says health director or public health officer, inspector is hereby empowered to enforce this article. Enforce chapter 303 article 4. I think it should say, or then Rocky and I believe it should say health director or authorized agent for the Board of Health.
What would be an authorized agent? I mean, other than the director saying you're authorized, I mean, is there any qualifications or anything particular that we assume comes with that?
Right, yeah, anyone that you authorize.
Okay. Well, no, just wanted to see if there was a, you know,
There are other bylaws that have that same kind of wording.
And we had included the words public health inspector initially, but realizing we wanted to keep it a little more broad
Yeah.
and leave it to discretion of the board.
Right.
So I have a question on the special variance. Are you carrying that special variance for an empty lot? It's gonna, because the tight tank says you can't, there's no building, so is this, for the guy, someone that buys that empty lot? Is he gonna be restricted to 1 bedroom?
Depending on the lot size.
If it's 10,000 square feet, right?
Yeah.
So he can only have 1, so why wouldn't he just automatically go to a tight tank? Why would he need a variance?
Well, you can't build on a tight tank.
Yeah, that's the little,
So
that was
that-
that little.
That was what we went over
But-
last time.
that's the hitch of this all. That's why the variance is a way for us
To say that they can
to
build.
say that they can
So
do
he
it.
can build on, I think, there's one, but he's still subject to one bedroom for 10,000 square feet.
Correct, yeah.
Otherwise, you could use, yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
So beyond those minor edits that John just described, I think the town council is willing to take a look at any additional edits that the board would like to propose. Or if you want to begin to move towards passing these regulations.
Any other comments from the board? Do we have any comments from the public? I see none. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor of closing the hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Chairman says aye, the hearing is closed. Any additional discussion from the board? Any question, comments? Do I hear a motion?
I'm good. I have a motion to accept.
Second.
Second? Any further discussion? All in favor of adopting the new regulations, well, amended regulations like 303? Say aye, please.
Aye.
Chairman says aye, those are now official. You may.
These get filed with the state, right? Or is this just,
We do.
wasn't there a question last time of whether or not these were filed or?
Yes,
Yes, we do need to file.
that was one of our little hiccups before.
Thank you very much.
The word may and filing got us in trouble. Okay, now we have an appeal of an enforcement order for non-compliant subdivision resulting in Title V dairy violation from 14 Trip Drive. So this hearing is now open. And we have Mr. Bertolet, attorney. And Rocky will be speaking for the town.
Actually, deferring to John for this particular item.
Okay, John, do you want to explain this and then we'll hear the timer.
Sure, yeah, so, it was brought to my attention, that there a subdivision that happened on this property at 14 Trip Drive back in May, when the plan was ordered with land court. And the person said, John, they can't do that, right? I know there's a 6-bedroom house, and it had gone to planning board and everything. And they said, they can't do that, right? Now it's a 6-bedroom house on 40,000 square foot lot, and you cannot do that. There was an 80,000 square foot lot and subdivided into 2 50,000 square foot lots. Anytime you have a septic system with an on-site drinking well, that's technically, it's considered nitrogen sensitive, you're restricted to 440 gallons per acre for 40,000 square feet, so. Into compliance, they could install an IA, which would meet they would be able to get 6 bedrooms on the acre, or town, tie into town water. However far away that is. I think it's somewhere down the road, but I'm not sure. So, yeah, that'll be brought to my attention, and I issued an order to the property owner at the time. Which I believe is probably transferred now. So that's representing that person. And said they need to come into compliance with the property in 6 months. So, Mr. Bodett, is representing his client, and they're appealing that order.
I just have one question. It's been sold, subdivided and sold, and then sold again
No, sir, subdivided and
by
sold,
the original owner?
subdivided by the original owner into 2 lots. Both lots were sold to my client.
Oh, so the person that owned it subdivided O'Neill, she subdivided?
Yeah, sorry, she owned it a year ago.
Yes, so she sold,
She sold it to one person.
right,
That person subdivided it
Okay,
into 2 lots
right.
and they sold both lots to my client.
So Mr. Burdette, Ron.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rick Bodett for Trip Stable Nominee Trust. I'm also the trustee of that trust on behalf of my clients. And as John mentioned, I'm here today to appeal that order that was issued, I think, on the 26th of August. To give you some additional background, it's 14 Trip Drive. It consists of 2 40,000 square foot lots. Each of which was subdivided in January. As John said, it was submitted to the land court and approved this summer. Thereafter, my client bought, again, both lots, so they own all 80,000 square feet. The house on this property straddles the 2 lot lines of these lots. And so, for all intents and purposes, it's used today, as it always has been, by Diane and the prior owner before we bought it. So we did receive this order from the prior owner, sent it to us once it was submitted by John. The order says a couple of things. Remediate immediately, it says property is subdivided, 40,000 square foot lot, serviced by 6-bedroom septic system. It says abate within 6 months, acquire a permit to install a septic system. And we wanted to appeal this order because we think this order was wrongly sent to the prior owner, and we don't think we have to comply with it. And there's no reason for us to comply with it because we believe we comply with Title V. So there's a couple of reasons why we think this order is misplaced. First and foremost, I think John's enforcement order is based on the idea that the facility, the Title V facility as it's defined in Title V, has been divided. The facility has not been divided. Okay, a facility, if I can give you the definition in Title V, is defined as any real property, including any abutting real property, and any buildings thereon which is proposed to be served, or could in the future be served by a system or systems where A, legal title is held or controlled by the same owner or owners, or the local approving authority or the department otherwise determine that such real property is in single ownership and control. And so that's our biggest concern about this order, is that these 2 lots are owned by my clients and they're in the same ownership and control. Nothing has changed here. And specifically under Title V, when you have abutting lots that are owned by the same people, they can be used as one property, one facility for Title V. So just like the planning board handles division of land, you guys handle division of facilities. The land has been divided. There is essentially a line on a piece of paper. But other than that, the facility, the Title V facility, has not been divided. It's being used exactly today as it always has been. And so we have 80,000 square feet serviced by a 6-bedroom septic system.
Excuse me, did you say the house straddles the property?
Yes, I did.
So it straddles both properties,
Yes,
even though it's divided.
yes.
Isn't the leach field on the other lot though?
The leach field servicing that house is on not the other lot, it's on the facility, the entire
So
property.
you're not gonna build on that second lot.
I think we eventually will, but before we do that, obviously, we have to either move the house off the lot line, right? And then come in to John's department and ask for a Title V system for each lot. So I would say that if this house was only on one lot and we had only bought that 6-bedroom house and septic system on the 40,000 square foot lot, John's order would be squarely on point. Right.
It's still 2.
It's still 2
When you
lots,
look at
correct?
the map, does it have 2 separate areas for the lot? If you look at one lot, it's got a certain lot number, and this one has a separate lot number.
Absolutely,
So you have 2 lots.
absolutely.
All right, so you have 2 lots. Yeah, on this lot, you have a house with no septic system. And on this lot, you have a septic system with no house.
The house is on both lots.
Yep.
How
House is
much of- I
straddling.
mean, the house is pretty big. So
Yeah, it's a big house.
wonder how much of the house is on the other lot, 'cause be perfectly honest, it feels like this is all a little sneakily done in that it was not sort of presented to the Board of Health as an issue, and I sort of feel like there's probably room on the lot where most of the houses
Mhm.
to, and I'm not saying that you guys necessarily, I don't know how this would, sounds like it was subdivided before you. But it seems like if there's room on the lot where most of the houses to put a new septic in, why can't a new septic so that everything complies? Because they could have just kept their house, kept the lot, made two lots, but had them be condos. Two separate. Well, they could have, I mean, they could have done, like, I live on a property that is, let's say, 2 acres, and it's considered a condo with two different homes.
Mhm.
So it's all one lot, as I understand it. So if part of septics are on different areas, it is okay, because it is really one communal
lot.
lot.
Yes.
Whereas this was not done that way,
So,
right?
yes, intentionally, I'm sure, right? Because we knew it was subdivided and wanted to buy 2 lots. And at some point, we intend to use 2 lots separately. Right now, we're using 2 lots together. And there's nothing sneaky about it. And if I can finish, I'll explain why this is extremely common.
Let him finish.
Sure, yeah,
didn't
no,
mean to
I
interrupt.
know. But let me explain the rest of my presentation that's in my letter, because that's very important as well. So we are using this currently as one facility, one property. It's that simple. And it's very common, particularly on Nantucket, to have multiple lots held as one by the same person and used as a facility under Title V. And I provided a number of examples in my letter. And if you don't mind, if I can just give everyone a copy so it's easier than you have. So it might be a little easier than the online, and we can kind of follow. You want one of these, John? Oh. Okay. So first of all, this is particularly common. The first one that comes to mind is in Tom Nevers, right? In Tom Nevers West in particular, all of those lots west, this side of Tom Nevers Road are 2,000 square foot lots. People cobble together 10 of them to make a half an acre.
Wait, they're all.
Yeah, they
I
are.
lived in town, that was right across the street, there was 7, there were 2,000 square foot, is that what you said?
Yeah, yes, that's exactly what I said. So
Why don't we let Mr. Burdette finish?
So yeah, sure. Sorry. If you can look at Exhibit E on this,
All right.
okay, that's the Tom Nevers Land Court plan. Okay. These are the Tom Nevers lots, folks.
Mhm.
Every one of them is 2,000 square feet. Now, people might have 3 acres. That's 60 of those lots. People might have a half acre. That's 20 of those lots. Follow me? So that's just the plan. If you look at the next exhibit, which is Exhibit E, that's an example I give, for instance, on 43 Kendrick. This was issued 3 years ago. This is a permit issued. This person owns 80 of those lots, 82,000 square foot lots, right? And they treat it as one. It's no different than the situation we're talking about at 14 Trip. And if you turn the page, you'll see that a single person, 2 people, an LLC, own 80 lots in Tom Nevers. Okay, the next page shows what they own. Okay, just highlighted in yellow for you. And that's a big lot. It's a 4-acre lot, right? Next page is their septic plan, which again, they treat it as one. Next one is their certificate of compliance, signed by Kathy in 2023. The next one is 32 Exeter Street. Okay, this one is a half-acre lot. Used as a half-acre lot, right? That means it's 10 2,000 square foot lots in Tom Nevers. They have a 3-bedroom septic system issued a year ago. The permit for it issued a year ago. Their sort of title shows what they own. They all own it together. Okay. And then this one, this sort of compliance is signed a week after this order was sent to us. It's the same scenario, folks. And this is all over the island. It's most of Nantucket. is like that. There are smaller lots in Mattock that the people cobble together. They have 3 or 4 land court lots, just like we do. And it's used as one Title V facility, folks. So it seems to me that that we're being treated a little differently than the entire county. And the other thing to mention, right, is that Trip Drive, this area was lug 2 zone, 2-acre zone for a long time. Recently, like less than 10 years ago, went to lug 1 zoning, and anybody on Trip Drive that could subdivide did, just like our prior owner subdivided. There are 2 particular lots on Trip Drive as well that subdivided, just like these people did. And those lots never got an enforcement order like we did, never had to come in here. I can't explain that, but it seems as though we're not even being treated the same way people are being treated on Trip Drive. So, and so,
The thrust of your argument, this is a facility,
this is a facility, it's one facility,
it's one facility.
which is just taken straight from Title V, folks. So, listen,
Treatments and other stuff, I want to deal with this. This is it's a facility by your definition.
well, no, by Title V's definition, sir, yes. And so, look, I know it came to John's attention and I know there's a lot of scrutiny in this neighborhood and I think, certain people are targeting this lot and I understand that completely and I absolutely respect every neighbor's, whoever it is, right to target whoever they want. But, it's when your staff takes that and sends an order that doesn't follow Title V and doesn't even follow your own procedures that apply in Tom Nevers and everywhere else, that makes the Board of Health almost complicit with whoever's targeting us. So,
I don't want to get into that. I want to just deal with.
But I gotta ask a couple questions.
Yeah, go ahead. Now we can question.
sure,
Go ahead.
These small lots in Tom Nevers,
yes, sir.
do they have one map parcel number or do they have 22? They get 22 bills,
Nope, they have one map and parcel.
so they're considered as one lot,
Yes,
okay? And you're saying they're 22 lots or 42 lots, but they're not, they're one lot,
they are absolutely
one lot.
treated as one lot. No,
Okay, one lot.
they are.
You have 2 maps and 2 parcel numbers.
No, I don't. Because I think the assessor, sir, I think I will eventually, to your point, but the assessor hasn't issued it yet because it was just subdivided,
So you're
6
saying you
months ago.
only still have one lot, so you're not subdivided. Are you subdivided or not?
We are subdivided under the
And
subdivision
you have
control
2
law.
lots with a different map and parcel number on each lot. Is
Eventually,
that
we will.
yes or no? I'm
It's,
just.
the answer is no, right now, sir.
The answer is no.
The answer is no, sir.
So you have 2 lots with the same map and parcel number.
Exactly.
Is that legal?
Eventually, they'll be issued.
I'm not talking about eventually, I'm talking about right now, sitting here, current. You have 1 lot or 2 lots? It's simple answer.
This is.
I have 2 lots.
Okay, you have 2 lots with 2 maps and 2 parcel numbers.
No, I have 1 map and 1 parcel lot number, sir. I'm
It's-
sorry, but I don't control the assessor.
It's a matter of timing.
Yes, exactly, sir.
Well, yeah, but
He's got
Johnny,
2
he-
lots.
He says eventually, it might not ever be eventually.
No, I think it will be. I
It
think
will,
it's
it
just
will.
they haven't.
Just
that-
haven't got to it yet. It's 2 lots. It's 2 lots with a house on both lots. That's what it is. At this time. And someday they may,
Legal, is it?
it's the way it is.
I will say,
The map kind of looks like most of the houses on one.
that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
So the front porch being on the other lot, I mean, that's. Not really the house rattling.
Well, I think it is, if I may. And the reason I say that,
And the garage.
I think, or most of it at least, definitely most of it is on the lot with the septic system. Here's what I will tell you, and this is what I told John a couple of weeks ago when this came up. As far as the building department is concerned, that's 1 lot. And the reason it's 1 lot is because the house straddles the lot line, right? It's in both setbacks. So as far as right now, as far as the building department is concerned, it's 1 lot. As far as the land court is concerned and the planning board who allowed the subdivision, it's 2 lots. That doesn't mean it's 2 facilities. Like I said, let's assume for a moment, just for the heck of it, let's assume, as Meredith mentioned, the house is entirely on the lower lot, right? Let's assume that. It's still not in violation under Title V because we own the other lot. The second we sell the vacant lot, or if we bought this house without buying the other lot, John would be right. We would be in violation because we have a house that has 6 bedrooms on 40,000 square feet. But right now, we own both lots. And that's what Title V says is lots and abutting lots where houses and facilities are on. So as far as Title V is concerned, it's 1 facility. As far as the planning board is concerned, it's 2 lots. As far as I'm concerned, it's 2 lots. But as far as the building department is concerned, for the moment, it's 1 lot. It's all treated as 1.
But don't rules say even if you want one, you consider that 1 lot. Before that lot can be sold, it has to have Title V thing. And right then they find you're not in compliance, 6 bedrooms and 4-bedroom septic system. So why you should have put in a 6-bedroom septic system when you bought that lot?
Well, there is a 6-bedroom septic system there.
There is, yeah, I mean, if they sell it, okay,
Yeah.
then obviously it will be it won't be a facility anymore. To me, the key word is facility. Okay, and if we by Title V and by the regulations, it's a facility. They sell the lot, then they're out of compliance, and then they're gonna have to deal with it. Doesn't mean they have to deal with it now.
So that's exactly my point, right? But Mr. Cooper touches on a good point, right? So for instance, if my client only bought the lower lot, A, I would say that is a violation. B, I would never let them buy a
I
lot
was gonna say that. Yeah.
that's only 40,000 square feet, not connected to water, that has a 6-bedroom septic. I would have made it, or I would have made the seller pay for us to put in a new septic system. But this doesn't need a new septic system because we own the 80,000 square feet. Someday, we will develop both lots separately, I assume, right? My clients, I mean, not me. And at that time, right, we want to put a 4-bedroom house on the top lot, for instance. We will come in and our engineer will submit a 4-bedroom septic plan for that lot. And of course, and if this lot, the bottom lot, that house will have to either move or be demolished or whatever. And the 6-bedroom septic system that we're all talking about will either be used differently or have to be connected to water, or will have to be abandoned and we put in a new septic system. But right now, and that's exactly my point, right now, we have 80,000 square feet, all owned in common, and we're just using it as such, as it always has been.
Let me ask you one question.
Sure.
Why would you subdivide it to stop?
Why would we subdivide it? And
Why did you subdivide it to stop? Why didn't you just leave it?
It
Well,
was
the
before.
prior owner subdivided it, but we wanted the 2 lots.
Okay, all right, but you wanted both lots.
Yes, for sure.
Do we have any other questions?
Well,
Ann?
let me just clarify in my mind. So going forward, because oftentimes what we're concerned about as a Board of Health is not what's happening now, but what could happen.
Sure.
So going forward, a couple of things could happen, as I could see it. One is, for some reason, your owner would decide to sell the other lot. If that were the case, the house would have to be somehow moved back so that it would be entirely on the 1 lot, right?
Yes.
Can't have a house.
Well,
I mean-
people can do easements. I mean, there's places where part of the house is on another person's property and you just have. they have
I guess so, but I have a feeling
No.
this attorney would not allow that to happen.
Or whoever buys it from my client would not allow it to happen. I mean, I think Meredith is right in part because, yeah, I could give someone, if someone buys the top lot, I could reserve an easement for us in that house, but the moment we sell that lot, okay, it's a zoning violation because our house is now in the setback of our own lot. So no matter whether we have an easement or not, we have a problem with the building department if we don't move the house, as you
And it's
mentioned.
not a facility anymore.
Okay, Malcolm, I know about this
yeah.
facility thing,
See,
but I'm
it-
just asking a question.
Easements or whatever, it there is no longer a facility because it's owned by different people.
All right, so going back to what I said, one thing that could happen is that one of those lots could be sold. That, and that would bring up a whole new set of issues that we're not dealing with today. The second would be that your owner wants to construct another edifice somehow on this, somewhere on these properties,
Yep.
right?
Yes,
What would happen then?
so that depends. Okay, but let's say, so number one, we would need to either expand this septic system, because this is a 6-bedroom house and a 6-bedroom system. Assuming we want to keep both lots and use them as all as one.
Yeah.
We would need either a brand new septic system to service, say, let's call it a 3-bedroom house. So we need another 3-bedroom septic system. Or we would need to expand the current system to make it 9 bedrooms, right? Because we need another 3 bedrooms. That's possible. What's also possible is we move that house, connect it to water and use just the septic systems that's there on the bottom lot. And then separately come into John's office to build on the top lot with septic systems and
Okay,
whatever it needed. Which I think is, all that typically happens when you subdivide a lot and you use them separately, sell them or use them yourself separately. Everyone you hire your engineer and they provide your septic plan to John's office.
so I guess my question is do we, and, you guys are all gonna have to answer this for me, because I don't know. If we relieve you from the, violation that you're currently under, does there need to be some sort of stipulation that if it is used as it is currently used and everything, it's okay, but if any of the things that we've been discussing happens, the following have to be done? Do we need to actually spell that out?
Well, if you're asking me, I would say you don't have to because Title V takes care of it, but I will also tell you that if you want to stipulate that, I'm fine with that because that's Title V anyway. I think what you're saying is we're using it like this, it might be fine, but if we sell a lot or we develop a lot, we need to fix the Title V or do something different.
My fear, if we put what stipulations, because there's multiple scenarios. The point is, they sell a lot, they have to change. It's bottom line. They're required to. And we have a health department and the planning department that are really, really sharp and they'll know immediately. I mean, they know about this.
Right, so
And
yes,
He's a good guy. He'll, maybe he's a good guy.
not everybody believes that, but thank you.
Although at town meeting the other day, I got a little over zealous about talking about lawyers. I'm sorry about that.
Don't
I apologize.
don't apologize. If I didn't have to pay student loans, I'd never talk to another lawyer for the rest of my life. Trust me.
I was said I should have been a lawyer. Anyway,
Well, I
But
guess we
let's
need
go
to, I
back to
mean,
this.
it's a thought, and I don't know, sometimes we do sort of put a caveat in things, saying, okay, we're gonna let you alone for now, but if you dot, dot, dot. And I didn't know whether people would feel more comfortable doing that.
I have 2 comments, not as a questions really. It's like, if I'm gonna subdivide a lot, I don't know why I put it through a house. Now,
Well,
you didn't subdivide it, but just like a strangeness to that.
Yep.
Which isn't your issue, so. The other is maybe a comment I made before, because it's just, we have all these departments, everything's gotta go through, and one department approves something, it ends up with somebody else's stuff and not approved, it's not compliant, so.
Sure.
And that is somewhat frustrating as a system,
Yeah.
seeing how the town operates sometimes, it just, we kind of hit these, well, we're gonna approve it, it'll be someone else's problem down the road. What you seem to be saying is that any changes will just be done according to existing law, regulations, and You know, I think what we're all concerned about is there a back door that can somehow something
Yeah.
Yes,
happen?
yes,
That, you know, that we're not anticipating.
Yeah.
And, you know, we don't want to because that's not the right thing to do.
right.
Yeah, so first of all, I can answer your first question. The reason it's like that is because each of the lots under zoning have to be 40,000 square feet. So if you move that, one of those lots, one of the lots won't be 40,000.
Right, and
That's
that's
why it's done. And I think obviously the intent here is to use two separate lots, and to do that, you're going to eventually have to move or demolish that house.
Right.
That's just the reality. And that is what I'm saying, that, you know, every engineer I deal with, doesn't try to backdoor anything. They all follow Title V. I think John would probably back me up on that. You know, if we sell say, one of these lots, particularly the one to the north, we're creating our own problem here, which is, you know, exactly what John would send us an enforcement order for. I just think that enforcement order he sent was premature because we haven't sold anything. We own it all together. So we have incentive to do this right, because nobody's gonna buy that northerly lot if there's a house partially on it, presumably. And we don't want a 6-bedroom system on a 40,000 square foot lot if that doesn't meet Title V. It doesn't do us any good either. So anyway.
This map looks very different than what I'm looking at on the GIS. And I just would love if we could highlight, I don't know if we can, where the lot line is, because it makes it look like there's a very large section, but it actually is just where that driveway is and then over to the right a little. It's not like that,
I'm
know
not
what I
sure.
mean?
No, sorry.
like. this
But
is-
I've looked
is
at this
what
1,000 times, so I
This
know.
is what it really looks like.
On the left,
Right.
yes,
Right. But when
exactly.
you look at that, it looks like it's a lot bigger, like the way the line, it's just not because only the one where the house is identified.
So I
would just love, like, to I guess I was confused, so maybe I was the only one on the board. But it's really just that top corner, and like it sticks out like curved up. That's the front lot, and all of that big open space at the bottom, this must be.
it's
like,
not
the
part of
bold
this
map
property. Yeah.
Is a totally different property.
Yeah, so maybe John could trace, that's one lot. Yeah. and this- Yes,
Oh.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
It goes down there, yeah,
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
Oh, I see. So it's not.
It's not.
It's
all
not-
of that.
That open area is a
It's not
different,
that
somebody else's
big.
property.
It's not
yes.
that,
Well, it's
oh,
long,
okay.
I think at one point it was
Squarish.
all one.
Yes,
and
exactly.
then-
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
and
that's exactly right.
it's-
Well, I guess it doesn't matter what the
No,
shape
it's
of the
just-
thing is.
that's not all open, but, I would think that on that lower lot, you would have room to put in an AI system. So there's space there, correct?
I'm sorry, say that one more time, ask that
There's
question.
there is space available to put in a new AI. an
Looks like
AI
there's a lot of
system
space.
On either lot.
On, well, but like you guys could put an AI system far enough away from the well on that bottom lot. I guess one of the things that we talk about
Yeah.
a lot is like whether or not there's room. When you look at Tom Nevers on the GIS, it doesn't show all these little
Of
tiny.
course,
It shows them as this is their lot. So I guess a lot of times we've talked about this, and I know, in Nantucket, sometimes they don't, the lots are smaller, so they don't always have ways to put them in on that property. But my concern is there's plenty of room for you guys to do that here. And to just put in the new system, there's appears plenty of room to put an AI system in that would make that one lot comply as its own lot. And I also concerned that this all went on in sort of different departments don't talk to each other. So this comes up, like this has happened multiple times,
We have,
we're sort of.
Happens all the time.
People coming asking for forgiveness instead of other departments saying, hey, this is gonna be a problem, you should go talk to the health department and make sure that these all comply. So that,
So
am I making,
Yeah, no, we get cleanup.
I understand,
like,
yeah.
when this was separated, why wasn't it brought up that these,
It's a potential problem, it's a
Right.
potential problem,
and
and.
I think it's concerning, why was it separated into two lots?
Well, because you can, right? I mean, that's why people do it, right? And that's presumably why my clients wanted to buy it. But I mean, I understand your concern. I mean, I can tell you, I've been doing this 21 years. I've never seen this. I mean, I've never seen an order for this. You know, in other words, we're not resistant to putting in an IA system on this property. Because we don't want to put an IA system on this property. I think it's very possible someday in, you know, the near future, there's an IA system on each of these properties. But what we don't want to do is put in a system that we're going to have to rip out in a couple of years when we go to develop it. So as long as we're using it like this, the reason this didn't come up is because I don't see it as a violation. If I thought it was a violation, I would have raised it with my client before they bought it. They're using it as one. If like I said before, if my client was buying one, I would have raised some red flags with me. So, you know, I fully expect, I assume, my client will somehow develop these properties and put in septic systems on each lot. But at the moment, we literally got this enforcement order 2 days after we bought it. So we're all, you know, we were gonna go to HDC, plan some things, and all of a sudden, someone's telling us we have to fix the septic system. And my point is, no, we don't.
there's no environmental damage. No change in the environment at this time.
So, there's no wetlands, I'm assuming, I'm just looking at the map and there's nothing. The ground flow of water. Yes, if you build, I mean, it looks like it's going, you know, the water's, that's north, the top is north, the land slopes to the east. So that's what I'm saying is, if you're planning, if an engineer looked at this now, would they say that there might be a problem? Or there are existing wells that aren't on here, on neighboring properties I don't want to deal with this in the future.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know,
Yeah,
and
that makes two of us.
those are things that we're not really talking about right now, but if it actually was to be developed, those are things to be engineered, be looked at, and is that stuff that is down the road an issue, just from a quick look.
Yeah, I would say, the answer is I don't know. I think if someone's well is too close to this, I mean, I can tell you that the septic system, I don't know, John, if you have
It's down in the far.
it's down in the
yeah,
far corner.
Yeah,
So we know that's a
Yeah,
clear
that's-
place to put a
right.
septic system, right? That's not too close to a well.
yeah,
You know-
I guess thinking more, you know, if that lot solar developed again, it's with
Yeah.
a problem, again,
It's
they
a-
can't answer it, but again, those are the kind of things
Yeah.
I think we're trying to avoid.
I hear you.
You know,
Yeah.
having a discussion is, you know, by doing X, do we then just give ourselves, there's another problem forming down the line. And that's kind of
Right.
what I think we're trying to avoid.
Yeah, and I understand that. But I guess what I would say to that is two things. Number one, that's gonna be our problem to deal with, obviously. But if that happens, because obviously we have to design a compliant system. And so I don't, you know, I don't know I don't even know what's gonna be built here in the future, to be honest. So I just know that they wanted to have the two separate lots for the future. Right now, they're used as they always have been. So for our purposes, and the question of whether this is a violation, what we do in the future with this is sort of irrelevant until we decide to do something.
We understand our point.
Of course, I understand. Yeah, you don't want to
You know, it's
see
not,
this twice.
reality is we have to decide based on what is now.
Yeah,
What is now?
right.
You know, right now, we're saying it, you know, according to the definition of facility, this is one facility.
Right now, it's right now a facility. There's no,
What's the definition
It's in here.
I have it here. It's on page 4 of my letter, if you want to look at it. Any, and I'll read it, any real property, parentheses, including any abutting real property, and any buildings thereon which is served, is proposed to be served, or could in the future be served by a system or systems where a legal title is held or controlled by the same owner or owners, or the local approving authority or the department otherwise determines that the real property is in single ownership and control. Which it is in this case.
That's entitled by.
Again, if, you know, if we just bought one of these lots, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be asking an engineer to design a system.
But John, you had a question?
Oh, I was just gonna kind of to Meredith's point a little bit on the subdivision. I mean, this did come into the office, I would approve. Because this is created. So, that's the things.
No, I think that when they went to the planning department to get this done, that should have raised red flags in the planning department that these things were not in the right. That
Right.
something
Created
was,
on-
right, and, but did you include part of the house on purpose, so, not you, but was part of the house included on purpose to make it less of a, something that.
Never sure that, we never.
No, and I guess I feel like this sort of thing, seems to happen quite a bit between some of the other departments, and then things come here and it's.
But I
So
don't
I
think
guess
that's our job.
I guess,
I don't think that's our job.
We can't.
It is a worry, and I get what you're saying, but I don't think that's our job. I think our job is to decide today, September 19th, whether these guys are presently in compliance. And what I'm hearing is that, yes, they are, as long as things stay as they are right now. The minute something different happens, it's going to evoke other statutes or other things. And that's why I would like to put a caveat in saying if, and when we, if we approve it, to say, everything's fine now, but if something changes, it's not gonna be.
We can make it simple if one of the lots is sold,
I think if we put it too narrow like that, it doesn't cover different eventualities. I'd like to say if anything changes relative to these properties.
They have to come back. They have to come back.
well, they'd have to anyway, but we're just saying, we're reminding them they have to.
Does that sound okay? Does that make sense?
I mean, that's the law, so I don't mind you guys
Yeah.
putting it in a decision.
Yeah. It's the law. He probably would do it anyways, but it's a reminder, I guess. And it seems to be the consensus of the board. You'd like that. So. We could make it, we would, rescind the order. However, if there's any change in the use of either of these two lots, the owner will have to come back to the health department.
I kind of still feel like there's plenty of room to put a septic in, a new septic. Just put it in and then this is the problem, but, and I think the order said 6 months.
So I guess my concern is they don't know what they're gonna do with it. So
Mhm.
where are they gonna
Where
put
would
the
they
septic?
put it? How would they do it? I don't think they're ready yet.
Don't think that's fair. Yeah. Because they don't know where. Yes, there's lots of room. But maybe that's not how.
Yeah, how they wanna.
That's a long time.
Hmm?
Why not?
No, it's not.
Supposing they put it in 6 months and then they don't do anything for 2 years and they decide it's the wrong place. That's not fair.
Maybe they sell the whole thing. Maybe they say, we don't want any part of this. This is too complicated. And now we're dealing with a whole different owner or
Whether,
something. You know?
whether you like the fact that lots get subdivided. Whether, and you don't know what people's motivation are. We we can't deal with it. We have to deal with the rules. There's a lot of things on this island I don't like, but, I can't do a lot about it. To follow the rules, and we have to follow the rules. So,
And not to be argumentative, but I think that I don't think the planning board did anything wrong. They're not allowed to say no to that plan, to be perfectly honest.
understand.
It's an approval not required. So, I don't think anybody was trying to be cute at the planning board or anything like that. I still don't think it's a violation. I think that if this came in today, it's no different than the Tom Nevers property that was approved on the 4th of September. That's the reality. We
So-
own them together.
But it is noted as a violation, so we have to do something about it.
Yeah, we have. to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, these-
Yeah.
I didn't expect this.
Yeah.
These gentlemen are correct to bring it here, and you're correct to bring it here because we have to.
Sure, no, I get that.
So I'll propose a regulation or a motion, and we'll see if someone will make it a second. Move that the cease and desist order for 14 Trip Drive be removed. That if there are any future changes in either of two lots, number 13 and 14. are those the lot
Yes,
numbers?
they are.
13 and 14 on 14, that the owner will notify the
owner either.
well, and the owner of either lot. Well, the one owner is gonna buy
The current owner.
the current owner. So in other words, if they sell it, or they have to,
Or if they do any building.
if they do any, if the situation, we do the situation changes.
Yeah, I think we say situation, not owner. It would be,
No.
if the properties. If the use of the property
Any
is,
changes in lots 13 and 14.
Right.
The current owner will notify the board of health.
Well, I'd say the health department. We're not the health department. We're just,
Okay, yeah, we're the board.
these are guys out. Rocky does the work. We just sit here.
well, should it be owner or could it be owners? What if they sell them?
We're saying the current owner.
Current owner.
Okay,
Because the current owner's gonna sell it, you're notified. Health
Gonna
department
build
will say, "We're
anything,
sell
gonna
it." Just
sell
giving you a
anything.
heads up that there's gonna be action on this lot and you be aware.
So that's the motion. Would anybody like to make that motion?
I want to make that motion. Okay, I think the cease and desist order, under the rules of what a facility is proper. And we would like to have a heads up if something changes.
So the motion as stated by the chair has been moved by Carrie. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chairman says aye. You're not gonna vote? One abstention and one, no?
I'm gonna abstain.
You can
I
abstain or you
really-
can vote against. It's up to you.
All right, I'll vote against. I just don't love the precedent of this.
And,
Even, I understand what Title V, but
well, I'm not sure it's the best, but that's for another debate. So the motion is carried, 3-1 abstention and 1 negative vote.
Thank you for listening. We haven't met Rick.
Eric.
Nice to meet you.
Sam.
Yeah.
Okay. Three Austin Farm Road variance request from Chapter 288 Anaconda watershed, 1,000 square foot for a bedroom installed AI system, so it says.
Also being deferred to John, who is familiar with this variance request.
So this is, in the Hummock Pond watershed. it's an acre lot, 40,000 square feet. They're proposing to put an innovative alternative system and nitrogen reducing system to get 6 bedrooms from the 4. The board has approved this. I can't remember if there's direction from the board that we're okay to approve these type of variances on and others or continue seeing this for underlying.
Well, we've approved this before. I have, according to Rose, would you, does the board feel comfortable just leaving these kinds of decisions to staff?
We've done more than once, I mean.
Yes.
Many.
Yeah,
That's-
and I'm a fond of.
Yeah, I mean, we could continue to see them all, or we could officially let the staff deal with these and how how does the board feel? Comfortable with that? You want to?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You're fine?
I just go back to the math of, this, you put a more nitrogen compliant system in, you get a bigger house, but then you're putting more, so there's a math, there's something mathematically that doesn't quite hold up in my head for the whole island to be doing this. I always say it, so it's just, am I comfortable with you guys handling it? Absolutely. But I have a bigger problem with the constant, increasing essentially the human capacity of the island as a result of the waste that's produced. Even if I put in a bigger nitrogen compliant system. So that's where I have a problem, but it's not anything to do with the staff's ability to absolutely deal with this.
I agree. I think God, whoever he or she is, did not retire this island to be this populated.
That looks like maybe are they doing it to be able to put a pool in and that's why they're doing it?
Yeah, so I mean,
That, it just says it on the plan.
That's subdivision that they want to come, right?
I said, right up, Somerset.
Yeah, you immediate,
It's 85 acres. It's a subdivision like it. They use, they think we don't use building blocks because we only use about half of the land. And they use them, the stuff is not used as, yeah, agree, yeah.
These are all individual, these are all separate.
Oh, they're all separate.
All right, so, we've done this before. First we need to deal with 3 Austin Farm Drive. Do I hear a motion? To deny or approve the variance requests?
I move to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Chairman says aye. Variance is approved. Now, how do we word this? We need a motion to authorize the staff to deal similar. How do I word it?
Well, I guess, like the official paperwork they can do, but I still, in some ways, we do kind of want to know.
no,
What's
I
hap-
still
you know,
think
Yeah.
you should have to come here.
Fine.
Yeah, I think so too. End of subject.
And the
Yeah.
subject.
Yeah,
That's good.
So we just approved this
I
one.
love it when we agree something in 2
Yeah.
minutes. I agree, because it gets, I get a sense of what's happening in the world this way. All right, Surfside Crossing Development Review from the Select Board or the Zoning Board. We have a request from the Zoning Board to make comments related about the health of the island. About the new proposed development in Surfside Crossing. So then thinking about this is potentially a big task or a little task. I don't know, Rocky, have you thought about how we're gonna do this?
Certainly it's the board's discretion, but if the board wants to make, board members want to make separate comments, the health department is happy to collate them and return them back to the board to allow you to respond
Yeah, I mean,
directly.
The letters we've gotten from citizens all deal with wells and runoff.
We got one about fire too.
Yes,
We got one
yes,
about
we did.
Fire,
But again, that's not necessarily our,
We
we
put
could,
too
we
much
could make
stress
a
on the
general
fire.
Yeah.
opinion about fire, but
yeah,
Well, I would think, it's, the letter, I think, was more about public safety and that,
that's what I mean.
that big of
Yeah,
a development, we
bigger,
can't,
I agree, I agree. We
which
can,
isn't that under our purview or no? The
Kind of.
health and safety of the citizens.
yes, it is.
I would think so.
It makes, I guess, when I look at that map, it makes me think of, in Maui, people, when they had that big fire, people burned alive in their car because they couldn't get out, and South Shore Road is,
Yeah.
dead end road, so unless they're planning on running down the road and jumping in the ocean, all of the people that live past this location would sort of be locked in. They would be locked in to, that,
My,
that's a scary thing to, or that we don't, the emergency.
this dense area obviously has health issues, potential health issues. We haven't made any official decisions yet or comments yet. And I don't think we can at this meeting without some thought. What I would suggest, and we'll see how the board feels about this, is that we ask the staff to look into the well issue, because that's clearly,
Mhm.
without question, within our authorized ability. If they could look into that and maybe write something,
Mhm.
write an opinion about, the drainage of the wells based on, and there's a lot of actually information in Susan's notes. And then each of the staff, each of the board members, if you have concerns, because again, we have to make sure we're doing this within our expertise, so like you asked the board for opinion, is to write a paragraph or two about your concerns. And the second thing I would ask the staff to do is to think about what areas we have specific authority.
Mm.
We can talk about, density and fire, but more on, an opinion. But there's other things that we have more regulatory authority over, and that would be obviously wetlands. So if there's anything else,
What about sewer?
sewer,
There's,
the sewer,
easement that runs through this property.
sewer is really the sewer commission.
But I mean, sewer, if a sewer line were to break or have a problem and it's running new, that's,
I would write your little,
I don't know, that's enough.
yeah, no, I would write them down. And we really can't send them to each other at this point. And then we would, send them to Rocky. If Rocky kind of put them in the package. Our specific comments that we can think of in the next week. And the staff will do an assessment of things we clearly regulate, such as wells. And write something, and I'll talk to Rocky in a week or two. And we'll try to have this put together for the October.
I believe the request is, November the 14th is when they're requesting comments.
I'm gonna write back and say we'll do our best. This is important, and I don't wanna,
Yeah,
and I just don't want us to say, oh, well, it's too dense, people can't get out. We have to think about this and write what we write and what we say. With facts, information, and great thought. So I think we'll do, if Rocky could correlate all that. And I'll meet with him in a week or two and see where we are. We'll put a package together for the next meeting, October. And at that meeting, if we approve and correlate and get it together, I'm not sure we can get it together for November 14th, but we will do our best.
Are we gonna put these individual things that we approve, or disapprove of this thing? We're not gonna approve, regularly to approve, or disapprove the thing as a board, are we? I don't think we should do that. I think we should say far away from that.
Far away from what, 6?
Saying if we approve of
Oh,
the situation,
no.
or we don't.
I don't think we are even being asked to do that. I think what I see
The
is that we're
individual-
being asked to, as a board,
Yeah.
to come up with factual and serious potential concerns that we have.
And we'll put it together and issue it as a board, whatever it is, and we, at the next meeting, we can look at what potentially we're gonna say, and if you disagree with it, you can vote against it, or you agree with it, we'll vote for it.
I mean, does it-
I don't think we should say you can do this or you can't do this, we're against doing this. I think what we have to do, because this has got to be evidence-based.
Yeah,
This has got to be, these are the things that we are aware of that could be a serious problem to health and safety of the citizens of Nantucket.
with this current plan of.
Right.
essentially 19
Right.
Veranda house size buildings.
So then as a board, we're saying, we don't approve it because of this.
No,
Well, look-
no, we're not gonna say
now,
that.
listen, this
We don't
is,
say that.
this is the official request. For the Board of Health, review and provide written comments, concerns, and recommendations to us so that we will be able to make fully informed decisions, so. Comments are easy. Recommendations are more difficult because they have to be based on just not how we feel on a given day, but on more facts. And see, that's the concern to me by having this by November 14th. If we're gonna make a statement or recommendation, we had better have really good evidence.
Yeah,
Or
I
it's-
agree.
or it's
It can't be just, I think this, I think that,
That's,
because that's what it's been up until now.
that's not professional.
No, I agree with you.
Can we meet again between now and then if they need it by the 14th? or no? I mean, I know we're in
What's the
October,
date,
but-
Malcolm? November 14th?
You know,
Where are we? We're only in September.
So,
I
We
will,
might have to have a special meeting
Yeah,
on
we-
this. You're right.
I actually might want a special meeting because this is important. It has to be done right. And I don't want, by the time we get dealing with septic systems, deciding.
And if we say something, we have to be able to back up what we say, so.
Yes,
I mean, if you're talking about how many automobiles are gonna go in there and traffic, you have to know. what you're
well,
talking
we won't know, but we can tone it in such a way.
Okay.
If or perhaps it is a possibility, we can always write it like that. So, I'll talk to Rocky in a couple of weeks, and if we need another, yeah, I'd like a special meeting. The problem is the October meeting, I'm going to be at a medical convention. So I will be zooming. But I'll be in a jacket and top.
Well, we have sort of a big issue coming up that I was gonna bring up at the end, but in as much as we're talking about scheduling, I might bring it up now. And that is that we had said that we had given Sanctity a deadline, I believe, of October,
Yes,
and also those camps.
yes, we have to have a camp.
So this is gonna be a long and complicated meeting in October if we have it at that meeting, unless we defer to November or something, I don't know, but I think this is something, before we adjourn today, we gotta talk about.
Yeah, we will. So we have a plan for this?
So in terms of the types of things, we're looking at the information we were given to have questions and concerns concerning the health and safety of this project.
Yeah, and
I guess what I'm saying, we should be sticking to, what's our source of information? Do we do we do additional research outside of what we're given?
Let's just, let's
Okay,
just,
healthy, just,
let's just start. I mean, this
Okay.
could be a year project.
Yeah, I think so
If it
too.
was done right,
I think so too.
it could go on forever.
And with everything, medical anyway, it has to be risk benefit.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
So, yeah,
So we'll be, November 14th is Ian with a special meeting. We'll see. We'll do what we're asked. And I think we should. Like we said, we want to start getting more involved in more global issues in the island than just septic systems. Yes,
Will you take any public comment?
absolutely.
Oh, I didn't know, so I didn't.
No, we're,
As someone who has been unfortunately involved in this particular project from the onset, my understanding is the ZBA has to now act as the Board of Health or any other board on this island. So my understanding is that they have basically come to you saying, help us, because they're not the Board of Health.
Right.
And so if you could review this project as though it were a project before the Board of Health and advise the ZBA with your knowledge and background as how you would be reviewing it, what you would be considering, what potential pros, cons, et cetera, you would find with regards to what the Board of Health would be looking at. That's essentially what they're asking.
Yeah.
And they're asking that of a lot of different departments, because unfortunately for them, they're one board that has to all of a sudden become the whole town for this one project.
yes.
Hold on just one moment. Can we get names?
I'm so
I'm
sorry.
So we get names?
Megan Perry. Sorry.
That's-
I know that too. I'm sorry.
Please introduce yourself.
yeah.
Okay,
Sorry,
so
sorry.
we have a plan. And,
Could we? Maybe once we send everything to Rocky and things get worked together, have like a workshop or something where we can review it?
yeah, well, if we do it, we have to have a meeting. We have to post it, it has to be public. And
Mm,
that's why I want to see what we get. And then, you know, if it's pretty straightforward, we can put it together for the October meeting. If it's going to take some more work, then we'll look for a special meeting. And we'll at least discussion of it. We'll see where we are in the October meeting. All right, this is a fascinating sign. And some of these pump you look at the, there's a couple of letters from the citizens have a lot of very useful information.
mhm.
You know, help the staff dealing with, well, research. Yes, sir.
Jacques Sinicki, I'm a butter on the south side of Borough Lane. I've got a letter in there with some maps.
Mhm. Mhm.
A paper I wrote in 2018, which is really general. When you get to the nitty gritty, I have a lot of data that I'm very much willing to share with anybody that has.
I love your letter. It was very well done. Great detail.
And I really fear for Chris Meredith's well, which is sort of located in the middle of those four wells, is right there
Yeah,
on a field that on a 1-inch day would put 18,000 gallons of water in a vault 50 feet away from this well, maybe less. And that's just, there's no way that that's not gonna cause it, well. But I don't want to go into it, but I just.
yeah.
If you.
I have a sense of where the concentration of this has come, but I will
Yep.
defer that, so I'm not accused of
Good.
having preconceived ideas. Okay, mosquito and tick surveillance.
Yes, so tick-borne or vector-borne disease is a longstanding problem or issue on the island. And included in your packets was what has happened over this last summer with mosquito surveillance. Before I address any questions associated with those reports, I want to turn the floor over to Jericho, who has been working on an endeavor that came up actually at the last meeting concerning tick summit.
Hello, everyone. Jericho Mealy. I'm Human Service Director for the town. I'm working on tick and mosquito-borne illnesses as part of the strategic plan for the healthy and vibrant community. Currently, our intended plan is to start with we're calling it a summit. It's informal. With Malcolm, Dr. Lepre, and some experts from off island, including Patrick Reyes-Roden, who is the tick and mosquito person on Martha's Vineyard, and a contract epidemiologist with the Public Health Excellence Group, Leah Hamner. So we're hoping to have a group together on, I believe it's going to be October 5th. I'll double check that.
It's a Friday,
I believe so.
whatever that.
I think it's the first Friday in October. So we're gonna head over to Dr. Lepre's with the experts, Malcolm, whoever else is around, and just sort of get everyone working on the same page so we don't have any duplicative research. The end goal for this will be to work out a plan for initially some outreach on the island, things like permethrin treated socks, and then sort of an educational campaign, probably in partnership with Patrick over on Martha's Vineyard. He's done a lot of work on that, so he's got a very polished presentation. Then we're gonna hopefully work it into a sort of more research focused approach, especially on the tick front, as that's a pretty consistent public health issue on Nantucket. The talking points on that one is that it's one of the three big ones on the island, along with behavioral health and sun exposure based skin cancers. So what we're hoping to do is get everyone on the same page in terms of what research is currently happening, where it's happening, the various funding streams providing support for that research, then collaborate our efforts and hopefully expand to do larger scale population monitoring, and then do some human focused outreach and intervention with things like permethrin socks, hopefully providing those near common and popular hiking areas, that sort of thing. These are approaches that have worked in other places in terms of having an impact on tick-borne illness rates in those areas. And we're hopeful we can probably implement them here as well. Do you want me to get into anything about the VDCI and expand?
Sure.
And then as part of some concern around the recent EEE and West Nile virus cases in Massachusetts, we were looking into mosquito surveillance on the island. We currently do have a contract with a company that's doing population surveys and speciation, but those samples are not being tested specifically for disease. So we're trying to close that gap by connecting the existing surveillance methods with state testing facilities, and then have them properly be reported to the central state database for this. That should be relatively easy. The question will be then expanding the currently surveilled areas into a broader, more epidemiologically valuable survey of the island for tick and mosquito based illnesses. I think that's basically it.
You still have a mosquito control?
Yeah, vector
Yeah.
disease, VDCI.
Vector Disease Control International.
It's the contract, but I don't think we have a council or committee around it.
We used to
Yeah,
have,
we did.
we did have, Helene Wild was the Board of Health representative.
My suspicion is that was under that I'm not sure which body it would be, but it would have been one of the DPW ones as
It
they.
was in the DPWs, they do the spraying.
Yeah, they have the contract for it, so I would assume that it was related to them somehow, but I'm unfortunately not familiar.
Do we need it, or is it just another committee?
We probably don't need, I haven't seen their meetings posted at any point.
I think they kind of just died.
Yeah, I know
passed away.
the contract for VDCI, the subcontract that does the surveillance and spraying was done was initially created in the 90s. I think 99 was when the vendor was created. So most likely that was around when that particular committee was meeting, and that was the recommendation they made, was to contract for surveillance and spraying.
So the point is, it's being done.
Yep. We wouldn't need to create anything new. We would expand existing services. and then just monitor and file the results.
Another committee would probably take a worse.
Well, I, yeah,
Are you getting, you guys get reports from the research Sam Telford does?
I haven't looked at any of his research in detail, primarily because I am unqualified to do so. What I would like to be doing with this summit is get the subject matter experts that we've partnered with from outside the island on the same page with all the research that's being done here. I did have a discussion with one of Dr. Telford's, I think he was a research assistant who's finishing up his college course and was, in to talk to natural resources about having potentially doing an outreach and education position similar to what's in Martha's Vineyard here to focus on that. And I'm just sort of curious, I'm not sure where that is heading. My general strategy on this is to figure out what we do know, figure out what we're researching, figure out what we need to research, and then work from there.
Was Sam, put Sam on the phone for that meeting?
If I can get in touch with him, absolutely.
I mean, he doesn't have to come here, but he's,
No, I mean, and I think,
he knows, Dr. Lepre and Dr. Telford know more about ticks on this island than anyone.
that's, I mean, that's why the first person we went to was Dr. Lepre to get that sorted out. And we're kind of working around the addiction solutions schedule for that, just because it's the Friday for the
I
clinic
think,
thing.
it would just be interesting just because Sam has done his, he drives a blanket in different parts of the island and has done it for years and years and years, so probably has a lot of data about how many ticks he's found, what they have, and through the pipe, because I talked to him one time, he was down about the Lone Star.
So I know that
Seabridge.
that and Alpha Gal specifically were what the most recent round of messaging for Patrick and Leah was. So that's definitely something that they would be interested in finding out about. And then I know there was also there was a Department of Defense related researcher who was on the island doing surveys of deer populations for a combination of like whether they're COVID reservoir or not, and then also to determine tick and blood type status. I guess he was working, there's a ton of tick-borne illnesses for overseas American soldiers, so this was DoD funded research on that front. I'm gonna try and drag him in as well. And then Patrick has a pretty broad network of people off island with broader, like with the more general, like molecular biological background on a lot of this stuff.
Interesting, yeah. I was actually just today talking to the scientists from MIT that are working on the genetic mice project.
So I haven't followed up on that.
Well, they want to come in October and present to the public again.
Please pass along my contact information. I'd love to pick
Well,
their
it'll
brains.
be, if it happens, because they had some ups and downs, and then there was COVID, and but they actually can do it in mice now. They can actually take, and not just the white-footed mouse. The problem was they were working with lab mice, and the lab mice are not the same as our mice.
Yeah.
So this was the transgenic mice
Yeah,
research
Yeah,
project.
so they'll be immune to Lyme disease. And they've made some progress, so they're ready to come back and talk to us, so we're trying to work on a date for that.
I would love to rope them into this project as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been dormant, we haven't heard much about it, but they've kind of come up.
And it's the lovely thing about that research is if you iterate it, you can figure out very fascinating stuff.
Well, they've got all kinds of things they discovered in sub papers, and the major scientists working on it actually just got her PhD based on her work. Fascinating stuff. Whether we ever see the mice and who knows? It's great science.
I mean, I'm always very curious about transgenic research, especially for disease prevention. I also wish they could give me Lyme immunity. That would be lovely too.
Do we have any, in terms of actual disease on the island caused by ticks or mosquitoes? I mean, where are we?
There are 0 reported cases of any mosquito-borne illnesses on the island right now. Additionally, there's a probably a PhD thesis in doing the epidemiological analysis of tick-borne illness on island. But we're in pretty regular contact with the off-island epidemiologist, and then Aaron monitors our Maven for that. I think that it is one of the most common illnesses. Tick-borne illness of some sort or another is very high in terms of our chronic public health issues. It's unfortunately one of those things that comes hand in hand with an outdoor lifestyle and our particular environment. I don't have any specific figures with me today on what those rates are or if they're increasing or decreasing. My general consensus, the general sense that I have of it is that they remain high, but there are no sharp differences in terms of where they're going right now.
Why don't you next meeting, can you update us on?
Sure. I'll reach out to Leah to get a,
Or just quick, next, all of tick-borne diseases, all three, the board.
sure. I can get the epidemiological reports run out of Maven. That
Yeah,
shouldn't be
I was thinking
too.
how we're doing this year and maybe compare it to the same time next year.
Okay. And then I think the timeline for the tick-borne illness related strategic plan work, we should be doing the planning and conversation, the develop a plan with there being some initial outreach efforts at the beginning of next season. That would be sort of the rough timeline on that. And then I'd be happy to bring back anything regarding the current state of disease, tick-borne illness on Nantucket.
And note that mosquito surveillance ends for the state anyway, October the 15th. So they're not going to be doing additional sampling after that time. So this is kind of the end of the year, but it's often a time where you see a lot of disease because the mosquitoes are adults and they're looking for blood meals. And so humans are an easy target. And so they come for the humans and but it's certainly something that, as you mentioned, as Jericho mentioned, we don't really know if the mosquitoes are carrying any of these diseases because that surveillance is not being done. We know what kinds of mosquitoes are being trapped. We know where some of the larvicidal applications are occurring. And we know if there's any reported disease, but we're missing that piece. There's any disease in the mosquitoes. And I think that's kind of the gap we're trying to close here with them.
Didn't, John, you tell us a couple of months ago that tick-borne diseases was quite significantly down? Did you tell us that? Am I dreaming this?
We had the
Okay.
reports that Leah ran.
Hopefully that was real.
Yeah, all right. I thought it was in the late spring, early summer that you said that. Maybe June.
I thought we must have different readings. I thought they were up.
No, I don't think so.
John did ask me to run, to get some collected data to report back on the rates of them. I do not remember if they were up or down relative. We did have a discussion and we did get some Maven stuff run.
Yeah, so next meeting,
Okay.
we'll look at it.
I read it somewhere or heard it somewhere, but anyway, yeah, good.
I mean, Meredith's in the front line. She probably knows more than anybody that's up and down.
We're happy to do that.
I don't think I think there's always a lot.
There's always a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's always so much not reported. We just.
Well, that's true. That's
Just
true.
have to assume, if we see a lot, we have to know there's a lot more. So, all right, thank you.
Quick question, sorry, me again. Far as the, did y'all have to have, an action, a motion for the Surfside crossing? I didn't hear that.
No, we didn't have any.
You didn't have to have that.
No.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
We haven't got that far.
No, I didn't know if that you had to
No,
say,
we
the
haven't.
action was like saying that the health department's gonna review it first or something.
No,
Is that,
we don't need a motion.
okay.
Okay, thank you. Director's report.
Yes, so I have a few things and John will have a few as well as we're transitioning over.
All right.
So first of all, the Island Health Fair, which is at the Nantucket Cottage Hospital on September the 28th. They're going to have flu shots, health screenings, healthy cooking demonstrations, and other health related activities. We're going to have, the health department will have a booth there. We're still kind of finalizing what we will be providing at that time, but that is occurring, as I mentioned, September the 28th. The town is sponsoring two influenza clinics. It's influenza actually and COVID-19 vaccine clinics, and those dates are October the 5th and the 19th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Nantucket Elementary School cafeteria, and that is open to all residents. October the 5th and the 19th, and we have created some flyers that we have posted. I think it's gone into the Current, and I know it was announced yesterday at Select Board as well.
We can, would you mind emailing that to the superintendent or the principals? They send out a month, I think all 4 schools send out like a monthly report to the, or monthly newsletter to the parents, and that might be a good thing to
That
put in.
happened already.
I know that it went out through the comms department. I can double check to see which.
Make sure that it goes to them.
That'd be
The
awesome. Thank you.
additional issue is that I just overheard, you said 8 to 3 is the time?
Did I not get that right?
No, we actually, they changed the subcontractor that's bringing them out here, so now they come out with a vehicle, which means that they had to catch the first ferry over, the first slow boat over.
Okay.
So it's gonna be 9:30 to 4:30. And then you can find the sign up, the link to sign up right now on the Health and Human Services homepage. It's in a box right up on the top of that.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
Go ahead.
say again, are you talking about the 5th and the 19th, or are you talking about at the fair on the 28th?
The 5th and the 9th.
It's still the 5th and the 19th.
So anyone who has an appointment already is being, do you think, moved
No.
forward?
This was just begun last week. I don't think we have anybody
The
that was
28th is
before,
just the
right?
health fair.
No, he said
He's
the
talking
5th
about the
and the
5th and the
19th.
19th. So we've started taking appointments, but we don't have.
I
anybody at
haven't
those
had an
time
appointment
slots.
for a week.
I don't think we have anybody. Do you have an?
So
Yes,
which particular clinic do you have an appointment to
The 5th,
that you signed up through on Color?
uh-huh,
So then if there's any changes in when your scheduled time is, they'll contact you through the contact
Okay.
information they have there.
Okay.
No one who is currently signed up will have to take any action. They'll be notified if there's a difference in when they have an appointment.
perfect. Okay,
I think the topic of the camps came up. So we have been preparing a presentation for the Board of Health on camp variances for October. We've been working with the state officials to ensure that we, have the regulations correct from their perspective as well, as far as variances and what potential solutions could be put in place in situations when variances were needed last year.
And all the camps are invited.
This is, we have for the Board of Health meeting,
Yeah,
they're here in Mass
Yeah.
when they, yeah.
we have not done that.
I would inform all the care, and this is a emotional, high priority issue for them.
Yeah.
And it is for the board because I don't want to spend hours doing variances.
Yeah. I think some of the things that we wanted to ensure that was in that presentation was common variances requested last year.
Mm-hmm.
Those that were mitigated, that from last year to this year. And potentially some that would be difficult to mitigate that we may continue to see as variance requests. And Heather Nardoni will be providing that presentation. She's been working, as I mentioned, with state.
That's October, that if we're gonna do that. Maybe we do it a separate meeting for. For crossing. That's gonna take a lot of time, isn't it?
For the presentation?
Well, no, but the questions probably are.
Yeah, they are really, this is a very emotional thing for them. We've seen each of them one at a time over the last
Okay.
9 months practically.
We'll think about that.
Yeah, I'll defer to the board as to how best to handle that.
Just make sure they're there.
But is this when you're gonna be away?
I'll be zooming.
Okay.
I probably
Okay.
won't chair the meeting, but I'll be there. Again, since I'm gonna have to wear a Stark suit and a tie, I'm gonna look very formal.
Health department staff have been actively involved in the launching of the local short-term rental registration
God bless you.
system. These requirements are described in Town Regulation 338 that was adopted by this board and the Select Board of Nantucket. So adding all properties that qualify as STRs has had a number of technological challenges. So the current number represented in that database does not match currently with what the state has registered. And some of those issues include the state has an additive system. So when somebody registers, it doesn't drop off, it just stays there. And so if somebody else registers, purchases the home, for instance, they will be on there twice. So there are duplicates. And so it's been a challenge. This has been up and running since March. But to merge those databases so that we can conduct more outreach to those STRs that are registered at least at the state level and then would be added to the local level.
I'm sorry, you all remember to do that.
I think we can, I kind of on my to-do list is find a way to move it to some other department. It just doesn't seem
No,
to fit what you're doing.
One question that did come up, that has come up a couple of different times is the language around the date they must register by every year. So it's currently November 1st is what's written really in 123 and in 338. However, from that language, it's not clear whether or not if someone registers by November 1st, if that covers the next year's season, or is that for 2024? So that part has been confusing to people who are contacting us to attempt to register their STR. And I deferred to the board as how we should be looking at that or what that requires a change.
If it's a confusing legal question,
I don't know that it's a legal question, it's just not addressed. It's if I register an STR by November 1st, am I registering for is my payment for the next season or is it for the season that just finished? Because all the legislation says now, or the regulation says now, that it needs to be done by November the 1st every
I
year.
would think for the follow, why would you be paying and registering in
Retros-
November?
yeah, I would-
After STRing it all summer? That doesn't make sense.
for the next season.
It's the wording that it says by, instead of saying, November the 1st is the registration for the following season. It's a particular word in that thing that it says by November 1st. And like some people are like, well, if I register now, say it's what we have with our meetings, sorry, Tamika here. As our meetings right now, some people are trying to hurry up and make sure that, because like the meeting we have, the town meeting, they were trying to get registered before this meeting
Yeah.
came up and what was the vote for, and they were like, wow, why am I only registering for 2024? And it's true, most people who haven't even registered only have gotten the 2024 permit. So they were trying to hurry up before this meeting, make sure they have their 2024 permit. And then they're going,
Right.
okay, now when are you gonna ask me for my 2025, or am I paying right now for my 2025? And that word by confuses everyone, and even I was confused at one point, because if we look at the way we permit any restaurant or anything, we start their permits always end that year. So in 2024, December 31st, 2024, that permit is done
Right.
that year. If you want to start registering, like those who are opening their restaurants up January the 1st, they can start getting their permits in November Those- for 2025. So
Yeah.
with the STR, we were trying to make it the same way, but just saying that one word by, they're like, it's confusing
Because
everyone.
we're issuing the permit in 2024
Yeah,
without knowing if it is.
2024, and that's what I've been
season or
doing, registering
2025.
everybody who's doing.
And
theirs
so
in
Tamika
2024.
has been working closely with the public, and so she is hearing a lot of the the feedback. And so that is something for the board to consider, and how to address that, or what's the best way to address that.
Okay, bye.
Meeting's adjourned.
Okay.
I don't know what it does.
It makes, oh my.
Oh.
It makes sense to me to have a period, say from November to February, that you register for the upcoming season. It doesn't make sense to, as you said, Meredith, a little bit ago, doesn't make sense to pay for a season that is finished in November, does it?
No, but I think it might be, say, by January or December 31st, because there are going to be rentals.
But you may not know that you want to do short-term rentals in December
For the following year.
for the following summer. Would you know that? Does everyone know that?
I don't have TRC, I don't know, but I would
No.
think so, because people book places before that time. Like, people are booking in the fall for the following summer.
That's true, but what
All of
happens if
these-
somebody comes in January or February and says, I think I wanna do it? Are they gonna be not allowed to, or?
I mean, I guess. we have
Seems
to
to
go-
me,
we could
it's
say
like
January
signing up for
31st.
medical insurance. You have a window of time that you do it in, don't you? I mean, is it? I don't know. I mean, that would be my feeling. You give them a little,
I don't know what to tell you.
How do we change that?
well, first we have to clarify what we're meaning before we
Follow-
do.
So to.
And then we have to decide if we're gonna give them a window or if it's just gonna be a date that they have to have done it by.
So
Right.
we thought a window could be for if you're registering for, let's say, next year. We start you can go as early as November the 1st, like the regular ones.
Yes,
But the actual window time is really for, and the only reason we say November is because just in case somebody want to rent their stuff January the 1st, they have to have a permit. But regular time for the season, John and I discussed that maybe we have a window from January to March 31st. Cause everybody usually is coming to the island come April on. And then that's how you have your permit then, and then every November, if you're registering early, is November the 1st, but regular time is January to March 31st.
So
Alright,
it's
so what-
essentially November to March.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the window, November 1st to March 31st.
That makes sense to me.
Okay. So
And
I
it's
guess
for
the
the
question is, do we
following
need to,
year.
does-
It's
does the
not for
la-
this year.
does the regulation need to be addressed in any way?
Yes, if it's a regulation, we have to make it. We have to amend the regulation.
Or clarify it. I think the issue was it wasn't clear what year you were talking about. The current year
What
is
does
the
the
coming.
regulation say exactly now? By November 1st.
It says by November 1st each year, and this was originally written in 22 or passed in 22, so there's no year associated with, it just says November 1st of each year, by November 1st of each
Well, if we're amending the regulation, we have to have a.
This has to say for the following,
Or you have a
Season?
public hearing,
We have to have a
in the
public hearing.
newspaper For 4 weeks.
Oh, God.
Well, then I think that allows us time to think about, because when it was, and I don't even know who wrote it, but when it was written and how it was written, that. Like, why was November 1st the magical time? And I do think there was probably a reason. I think in the fall is when a lot of the plans for the following summer occur. So all of the camp signups start in November and December for the following summer.
Yeah, that was
So
probably-
that may be why a lot of that planning goes on then, and that's maybe why they said November 1st.
It was probably coming off the town meeting before November first, when there was probably a short-term rental article. And it was anticipation of that passing. That's why it was November first, because it gave enough time after April. Or May, whatever. But that's why it was November first.
Probably, but
That's exactly why it was November first. I think I can almost remember that. It made sense at the time, because that gave time after the article was gonna get passed. That was either the third or fourth attempt or second attempt. That would give time people to register. So now, since we really, all we have is regulations, we don't have the zoning. So I would schedule a public hearing to amend the rule. But in the meantime, I think the board would let people register until March.
But when they're registering now, they're registering for next
They're
year.
registering.
They're not
Following
paying
year,
now
the
for
following
next
year.
They're now registering because. Sorry.
No, it's not.
Why do we even have to have a date?
yeah, why do we have to have a date?
We have a date because the anticipation of the article being passed, so they want time.
I think too, that we want to be able to collect data and say, as of March 31st, we had
Certain amount of,
8,000 STRs registered.
But, you know, again,
That assumes we have a database, it's worth collecting database.
We do have with the GovOS, if somebody was to request or if we wanted to look up, we can go to March and say, based off who paid what in that. So a date is really not even necessary, to be honest with you.
That's what I'm saying, why do we
It's
need that?
not necessary, but I think we did certain dates just like because we're used to our permits saying you have to be, this has to be done before.
mhm,
You start
could-
start doing your
I don't
SDR.
see why if I decide, if in March I decide to
exactly.
rent in August, I don't think. Okay, now my head's clear. That date was only there after the passage of short-term rental regulations to give, it might have been just for not the zoning one, but for the regulations. It gave people enough time to do it.
But
So it's an arbitrary date.
if we put no date in there, then people can sort of go, oh, July 3rd, oh, I'm just gonna rent my house for the month of August. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be able to do that, and I'm not, but I'm thinking like if we're trying to collect good data and we're gonna muck up the system with no dates, then we're really gonna have a hard time collecting data. At least for the first year or two, having sort of a hard number so we can say by this cutoff date, and if people forget, and then they could come here and ask for
A variance.
a variance.
Okay.
if I buy a house, you know, on April first, and I want to do short-term rental, am I allowed to do it because March 31st?
See, that's what's wrong with the date.
Well, but couldn't you, they could come to us and say, hey, I just bought this house and I would like
No.
an STR.
Then
don't wanna deal with it.
and we're not gonna deny it. So it's why waste everyone's time with a variance?
Because it might deter people, which would help us improve our data. You love data. I know you like reading data, and we're gonna muck it all up if we don't have some clear, and I'm not saying that we need to make it a 30-day period, but I do think we have to have a certain period where it cuts off so that we know how many SDRs we have, how many, like you can actually look and have good data. And that's why this was all set up the way it was. I don't think this, and maybe it was, I don't know, I wasn't involved in the article creation, but like, I don't think that it was put together in sort of a willy-nilly way to, if we want meaningful data, we need.
Well, thinking if it's rolling, I mean, as people come in, as new ones come on, it would be current. So if it's rolling, so now in August, someone comes in, said, I bought a house, I'm gonna rent it through the summer, through the fall. I mean, with their addition of that information, the current data will be,
But that doesn't tell us then how many STRs were there active in July and August.
it's what. As of the date we are, you can look back and see in this period of time. what
I'm
the
not
SDR
sure we'll ever
Yeah.
get that information on it. I'm sorry.
Well, actually, we can find somebody else to do it would be better.
I don't believe, but that's just my personal opinion. I've said it before. I think we're spending a lot of money. And it's not gonna help. It's going to, however you feel about this issue, people are gonna use that information. So it's a waste of money, but that's beside. We're stuck with it.
So do we have to do an amendment regulation, or can we put these procedural corrections into place without clarifications about what by means?
I think we can put a procedural correction in place now. And then at a proper time, have a public hearing and fix it. So we'll have, so what's the procedural correction?
At this point, if you register now, you're registering for 2025.
Yeah.
From this point on,
I don't think we need to vote on it. So if you're registering now, you're registering for 2025. That's the,
Do we just say registration is open for short-term rentals between November 1st and March 31st?
I wouldn't even put a date on it right now, because
Oh, okay.
we're not, the thing is, we're not sure about that, but at least
Well-
say, if you register now.
You want people coming
good for
in all
20.
the time?
Well, it
Well,
was by
12 months out of the
it was
year?
by November 1st.
I would add to
Yeah,
that.
that's,
that the
doesn't make
staff-
sense.
The health department staff can accept
Yeah,
registrations after that date, and then we'll have to have a vote. And then we'll fix it.
after November 1st, can
Yes, so
accept
I would
registration.
like someone to make a motion that people that people that register after November 1st for 2025, the staff is authorized to accept their registration.
Can't we just say registrations for 2025 for short-term rentals are can be accepted after November 1st of the year before, or,
Just say registrations begin on November 1st.
right,
It says
That's good.
by November 1st.
Yeah, that's.
Why don't
We gotta
just
move the
schedule a
word
public
by. Let's just
hearing
get
and
rid of
now
the-
Say when you register 2025.
Yeah, I just want to
schedule a
make sure,
public
I just
hearing
want to make sure these
For
poor,
whenever.
poor guys don't get someone yelling and screaming at them because they register on December 2nd or November
Well,
2nd.
but they'll be able to have a public hearing by then, in November maybe, but for now, it says
Okay, we'll,
you're registering for 2025.
right, you're smarter than I am. We'll have a public hearing by then. How many weeks do you have to post
Is it
for?
4?
what?
I believe it's 4, yeah. 4.
Yeah.
For
we need
what?
time, 4 weeks, you have to post it in the newspaper for 4 weeks.
Oh, that we're having a hearing? We
Yeah.
can't change any words in anything without having a public hearing?
Minor things,
This is minor.
but
Wow.
if we're gonna change the bylaw, we're gonna have to have a public hearing.
We have plenty of time, do it in November.
Yes,
All
I
right.
forgot that. All right,
Okay,
the board has for the minutes, the board has clarified the interpretation of the present bylaw that registration by November 1st means 2025.
for the following,
For the-
well,
for
for
the
the following
12 months.
year. Yeah, because we're gonna be in 2026, and then it's gonna say,
And then Rocky will schedule a public hearing to amend the regulation. And then actually the regulation has to be approved by the select people. We have to start with us. Okay,
And then I'll just finally just note that the select board requested that I provide an update on the registration system next week at their meeting.
you tell them that what we just did.
I'll do.
We clarified it and we're gonna have a public hearing to straighten it out.
That's why I brought it up today. Thank you.
My mother would call this a mountain out of a molehill.
I mean, we have,
I'm excited to.
I mean, I mean, we spend as much time on this as we do PFAS. Good God.
Yeah,
All right, let's go on.
The only other thing I have is, there is a serve safe, training that is being planned for the end of October. It's for food protection managers.
Hmm.
And so that is being organized, and we don't have a firm date, but it'll be the end of October. We'll have more information as to the exact date, the next
Good.
meeting.
That's a good course. I took it once.
And I just want to allow John to jump in with any updates he has.
I actually have to leave in 5 minutes, sorry.
Kind of drawing a blank, so, sorry. We'll be continuing to work on the, PFAS filtering page, developing that, you know, and trying to keep clarifying which, you know, the different standards that people need to consider when they test the rock and everything, and more, at least lead people in the right direction, the proper filters and everything, because as you know, we can't recommend specific products, which makes it
But you could
difficult
say
in our position.
reverse osmosis.
a type of
activated
product, a
charcoal.
type
Yeah,
of product.
yeah, and then the point of use or point of entry.
Yeah, so we'll have like a simple, this is what you do when you get PFAS in your well.
And it doesn't say the 25.
Right, to help for drinking water and everything, yeah, as well as notifying DEP, which, you know, obviously came out of that meeting that we had a few weeks ago. We're working on updating the town's PFAS page altogether, just restructuring, talked about that before. And then posting the questions and answers from the meeting that we had. It seems like forever ago with DEP, so we're gonna be, hopefully posting those, pretty soon. Hopefully, so. Greg. Pittman, the assistant. Manager about. That's the goal right now.
Okay.
So
One other
the,
thing you
so the
mentioned-
sanctity
Sanctity.
issue is quite different than the other camps, as we all recall.
Yes,
It has nothing to do with whether you have a bathroom or this, that, or the other
to
thing.
do with sleeping.
It has to do with housing people under the age of 18. And it was a serious problem for them and a serious dilemma for us. And we gave them a variance to allow to operate last summer, this past ending summer, with the idea that they were gonna come back to us this fall with a plan to get themselves into some kind of compliance. And I think we're gonna have to have, I don't know if we need a special meeting for that, or we have to allow, you know, a significant chunk of time for that, and I don't think should allow them to just slide along. So, have you been, either of you guys been in touch with them?
We have, yeah.
Okay.
A little bit, they expanded their septic system to allow for a new building. They're gonna build a whole other building,
Oh, they are?
yes.
Oh, good.
To, you know, alleviate the bed separation.
Oh, okay, because they told us, remember, that they couldn't possibly do that last year.
I'm not, plan to use right now, but I almost think that we may have approved the building. So, I know, I believe Kathy approved, a septic plan, which was to expand the system to allow for the building, so, and I believe she approved the building as well, so I think my impression is they're gonna this year building.
Could you, next meeting officially update us?
I think they need
Yeah,
to
yeah.
come, somebody from them needs to come and present this to us, because it was a big deal.
So we can request, who should I talk? Arthur,
I guess.
I could send a note to Arthur. He was their lawyer.
No, I know, yeah. I guess so. How does that work? You do it, John does it, Rocky does it.
You can reach out to their camp director.
Yeah, reach out to them as at the by the end of the year.
It does. Maybe November will tell them.
By the end, but November, December, we'd like them to come to one of our meetings to update how we're doing.
Tell them what their plan is.
They're rolling.
That's.
But they
good.
need to tell us.
If they would come, that would
I mean,
actually
this
be
was a very
a nice thing.
strict, you know, we're gonna give you this variance, but this is what you need to do. And if I, you know, act firm on any one thing, it would be on this.
Yeah, because we were,
So I don't think they should sort of talk about Meredith and, you know, are they doing something tricky? I think we need to hear what exactly their plan is. Yeah.
We'll be in contact.
nice if we could read everyone's mind. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's all we have.
Okay,
Thank you. You're doing good work. So I'm getting a sense we're gonna need another meeting or two.
you mean an extra, a special, yeah. Yeah,
I will talk to Rocky and see the day we will just post it. That means for the October meeting, but actually, we did like a couple weeks after the October. After. We can spend October just doing the normal stuff. And then a special meeting just doing. Surfside.
mm-hmm. Okay,
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
We're all going on.
Malcolm, can I get you to come to the office?
Uh-oh.
Sign something.
Yes, you did.
If it's real quick, because I have to.
Yeah. It will be, you know what, how about this? Can you come tomorrow? You
How
have time
about
tomorrow?
this?
Yes, I'd rather come tomorrow.
Okay, can you, just come tomorrow in the office and I'll have all the people behind you?
Oopsie, sorry, no, go, sorry, back up.
I'm just.
Hold on.